Gary,
Elle.
today is National Retinol Day. I'll give you a silver dollar if you can tell me one use for retinol.
Okay, Elle, well, as a 63-year-old Asian man, okay, this skin does not stay wrinkle-free without that magic elixir. Girl, I think. Yo,
Welcome to
isn't
the
it
Elle Duncan Show.
isn't retinol like a eye cream?
Well, retinol is a product that is put in things like eye cream and in face creams and things like that that are supposed to gently exfoliate the skin and give you fresh new baby skin underneath.
Oh,
Well done. I thought you were going to be completely clueless to this, but I forgot that you are in many ways um probably more into skincare than I am. So,
Elle, I think well, the Koreans are at the forefront of this skincare thing, right? Everything that's going on in Korea has made its way over to America in that sense. And I think just as the nature of the business. My mom shops at Costco. She gets the retinol creams. Let me ask you this question now. I don't know if it's asking if it's too personal of a question. I've gotten Botox before. Have you ever
yeah.
gotten Botox?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I got Botox once and my mom told me, Gary, you better never do that again. And then she doesn't even know how to use the internet, but she guided me to all these links to all these Botox horror stories where people lose the half side of their face and they look like Tommy Lee Jones in Batman Returns,
Okay.
and they lose usage of their face for like 3 months. Can't do nothing about it.
Well, okay. That's like the same kind of people that go and get like BBLs in Brazil. It's like you got to kind of consider the source. If someone's offering you 75% off your Botox treatments, it's probably because
Hey,
they suck at it.
I'm saying. So anyway, I'm a one and done kind of guy, but I can understand the appeal.
Yeah. Yeah. Good Botox will save your face from wrinkling up. Bad Botox will make you look like a frozen moron. And so that's my warning
Oof.
to you. Just make sure you go to a good person.
But L, I mean, I feel like that line is so precarious. It is such a blurring of a good one versus a bad one because it only takes one mistake to make it a bad one.
Yeah.
That's why I'll stay away and I'll stick to my retinol.
Listen, Botox, much like the Joel Embiid situation, there's a gray area. There isn't necessarily a right or a wrong when it comes to certain situations. And I find myself feeling that way when it comes to Joel Embiid. We talked about this on the show the other day. He's officially been suspended for 3 games after he had that altercation on Saturday with Marcus Hayes, who's a columnist, who Joel Embiid took exception to him writing um, a piece about Joel Embiid that was a critical piece about his availability, the fact that he doesn't play or that he's always hurt because he has, of course, missed all of the Sixers games so far this year. But then he went the extra added crossed the line, according to Joel Embiid, by mentioning Joel Embiid's dead brother and his son. It was a completely unnecessary add to that article. It made almost no sense to put it in there. Joel Embiid was not happy about it. He, of course, shoved this columnist, said, if you ever do it again, don't care. I'll live with the consequences. The consequences are a
Hmm
3 game suspension. How do we feel?
I understand this is a serious topic, but did you see the tweet that was like, if you really wanted to punish Joel Embiid, you would make him play 3 games
Yeah,
in a
make
row?
him play.
Which is that- that's that's actually hilarious. Okay. And I understand in the last episode, maybe some pieces were left out of it because, we were talking about the severity of FAFO, mess around and find out when you talk about, and it was I'll say at best a loose connection that this columnist made, basically saying, you said that you want to leave a legacy for your son Arthur, who you named after your late brother, who tragically passed away in a car accident when you were a rookie. So let's first things first. He wasn't like besmirching the death of Joel Embiid's brother, but he did make that connection. Like you
He was
named,
just making false equivalencies. Like it
correct,
didn't
you
have
named your
anything to do with
son
the story.
you named your son after your late brother. What legacy do you have to leave for your son if you're not even available to leave a legacy on the court? Is basically what he was saying. So I understand why Joel Embiid was upset, wanted to get confrontational with this columnist. And I think it just reverts back to if you are somebody in this profession or outside of it. We saw the kid in Penn State, do the same thing. Is if you have the conviction and you are passionate about what you are saying or what you're writing, just be prepared to face down in person, if that time comes, the consequences of how that other person you are writing or speaking about feels and interprets what you're saying. And in this case, Joel Embiid felt and interpreted what this columnist was saying as a slight to his family, and he defended Joel Embiid, his family, and his position as he saw fit. And I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think anytime you bring personal matters into it, you have to expect there's going to be some type of reaction,
Hmm.
especially when you're talking about someone's sibling that's passed and then their
Correct.
child.
Hmm.
And I also think that I get it. Joel Embiid is hurt a lot. The Sixers by large have underperformed based on how much money they spent. I mean, I think they're the first team in history to have three 200 million max players all signed in the same squad, right? With Tyrese
Hmm.
Maxey, Paul George, and Joel Embiid. And they haven't been able to do the thing that essentially we were supposed to be trusting this process. It's not even that they haven't won a championship. They haven't even like tickled one. And I get all
Sure.
of those things. Like I understand that there's a lot of criticism, especially when you're talking about playing in a place like Philadelphia. But when you're talking about legacy, I mean, the guy is an MVP. He's a three-time
Hmm.
all defensive player. He's a two-time
Hmm.
scoring champ. He's a seven-time all-star. Like he was rookie, he's on the all rookie team. Like the
Recent
guy
gold
has,
medalist.
yeah, recent goal. Like the guy has had a legacy career. It's so unfair to say because you have injury problems, right? Like I imagine where are the articles talking about Kawhi? And they won't talk about Kawhi because he's done the thing that Joel hasn't done. He's won
Correct.
a championship, right? But where is the sort of like where is a little bit of the understanding like if Joel Embiid could play, he would. I get it. It's fun to pile on these guys. Certainly I love making fun of the Sixers. My co-host Kevin Gundy, diehard Philly fan. Like I love giving him but like Joel Embiid is a tough guy. He's no Ben Simmons. Like this article, I think for me belongs at the feet of like a Ben Simmons, a guy who seemingly says
Yeah.
one thing, but all of his actions show otherwise. And I know he's playing this year, but like Joel Embiid is a tough guy who tries. We watched him last year in the postseason, like on one leg, doing his absolute best to stay out on the court. And
Yeah.
also, his legacy is defined by how good are the Sixers when he's not out there? Their butt. Their
Hmm.
booty butt cheeks. They
Hmm.
suck. They've won what? One game this year? I mean, they're not good without him. So I think sometimes the legacy part is still there. Yes, you cannot put hands on people. You want to try to restrain yourself and show temperance to people, even when they low blow you, which is seemingly what Joel Embiid thought that writer did. But you can't put your hands on people, and they know that. And the relationship between the media and its players are incredibly important. Even if it's contentious, it's a symbiotic relationship. They both depend on each other. And so
Yeah.
you don't want the reputation of being a guy who cannot take, even if it's over the line, cannot take criticism. We
Sure.
hear Stephen A. Smith, especially in his battle with Kevin Durant, that's been ongoing for years now, talk about Kevin Durant's sensitivity. He's so sensitive. I can't even imagine if you would low blowed Kevin Durant in that way, because for the most
Yeah.
part, people kind of lay it at, he's a cupcake. He did this. He moves around like
Hmm.
he's an arm for hire, if you will. But yeah, so I think appropriate suspension. But to your point, Joel Embiid misses a lot of time. Whenever someone gets a paid suspension, I'm like, that's not a suspension.
Correct.
That's just PTO.
Yeah. That's that's dope.
Suspend
That's a
me and keep.
vacation. That's a
Right, I'm
vacation
still
that you
getting
didn't have
paid, and I
budgeted
just now
in.
Joel is not getting paid. I do believe he's going to be fine. Like his game checks are going to be docked for those 3 games that he's going to miss. I think he's going to be okay. I think he's still going to be able to
He
buy
won't even.
groceries.
That's crazy about that. He won't even notice, which is
He
nuts. I just
he's
have
not
two
going to
more
notice.
points on the
Yeah.
Joel Embiid thing. One, that resume that you listed, that would be enough anywhere outside of Philadelphia. Or there's a handful of markets that's not good enough, right? Like you're an MVP, you're a gold medalist. A guy has that kind of MVP or that kind of resume in Memphis, he's a freaking hero. He'll get a statue, but Philly is the wrong place to be with that resume. But I will say, I'm not defending this columnist's position. But when Joel Embiid opted to go full go in the Olympics, which was just 2 months ago, when he opted to play for Team USA, they won a gold medal. He was fully ramped up then, ready to go, ready to play. 2 months ago, knowing dang well he's going to face the criticism if 2 months later, when they get back from France, it's going to be anything less than 100% hard charging out of the gates to start the NBA season. And lo and behold, it's exactly what a lot of his detractors said would happen. Uh-oh, he's going to ramp up middle of the season for this Olympics when he should be focusing on an NBA championship for Philly. That's all I'll say about that is those haters have a little bit of that fuel because of the start he has not had to begin this season when you can look 2 months back and say he was freaking playing in an exhibition tournament.
Right. Well, but again, like hindsight being 2020, if he felt good enough to play in the Olympics at the time, like it is what it is. And then
Hmm.
you turn around and you go revisionist history or hindsight being 2020, you go, well, if you're always hurt, you should have taken that time to rest your feet. I mean, I just listen, ultimately, it's going to come down to this. The Sixers are going to have to make the conference finals, period. When
Hmm.
you look at their playoff run over the last 10 years or so, losing the Eastern Conference semis, losing the conference semis, losing the first round, three straight losses in the semis, last year losing the first round. This is a team that has to compete with the Celtics, with the
Yes.
Knicks. They've got to be in the conference finals, like,
Hmm.
period. I don't even think they have to win a championship at this point. I mean, their window is closing, but
Yep.
they're not even have to win. They just have to make a conference finals, and we'll certainly see if they can do that. But I feel like in general, like the NBA is just they're like feeling I don't know what time of the month it is, but they're feeling like a little froggy. Like there's a lot of just like there's a lot of
Everybody's in
animus
their
that's
feelings.
going everybody is really in their feelings right now. Of course, on Wednesday night, we had the matchup of all matchups. What it should have been on paper was a matchup between the Warriors and the Celtics, two of the best teams
Yes.
that are playing right now, 7-1, 6-1 coming into that matchup. What was that going to be? Instead, it turned into Jason Tatum versus Steve Kerr, because of course, as head coach of Team USA, Kerr leaves Tatum on the fringe of the 10-man rotation. He played 71 total minutes in the entire Olympics. That was the lightest workload for anybody other than Tyrese Halliburton, who had fun with it. He joked about it. He's like, I'm also on this team. Or like, I
Hmm.
think he joked about, getting an A on the class project when you didn't contribute at all. So there's all of this buildup, and Jason Tatum is seemingly playing chip on the shoulder. I'm so angry. He's having a lights out type of year. I mean, he's playing so fantastic. Steve Kerr in the buildup to this game is kind of trying to temper a little bit of that flame. He's like, listen, there's nothing here. Like, I respect Jason Tatum, and I'm sure the Celtics fans are going to love the fact that apart from Jason Tatum, I played Drew Holiday and I played Derek White quite a lot in
Hmm.
the Olympics, and I helped three Celtics players get a gold medal. So I imagine
Hmm.
they're going to cheer me. Clearly, he was saying that sarcastically and in jest. Yesterday, they did, in fact, boo him quite a bit. I love storylines like this just because I think they're mostly manufactured or at the very least amplified by the media. Like, we need stuff like this, especially when you're talking about 2 weeks into the NBA season. So I thought maybe like we were reading a little bit into this. And I also thought there's a little bit of the Jason Tatum doing the Michael Jordan thing, right? I need to be pissed off every single game.
Yes.
So like just give me something to be angry about. Like you didn't play me in the Olympics enough. Now I'm gonna like use this to fuel me on a tear through the NBA. I thought like there was a little bit of all that going into it. But then when we watched the game yesterday, they did
Mhm.
not shake hands.
They didn't dap up. No
Nothing.
acknowledgement. Post game, he
None.
was showing love to Steph Curry, which, by the way, the Warriors won by 6. Steph Curry had another 6 point game after missing a couple with an ankle injury. He looks awesome. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna I'm not going to dispose of there not being something here. I mean, I think we know that Jason Tatum is like an emotional player, and they don't have to be best friends because he's a franchise guy locked up with the Celtics. And I think a lot of times in today's NBA, you never know where you're going to play or who you're going to be playing for or with in this day and age of free agency. But Joe Mazzulla is the coach for the foreseeable future. He just brought him banner 18. Jason Tatum is a max extended guy. He's not going anywhere anytime soon, so he's not going to have to court anybody outside of everybody who is in the Celtics organization. I think there's fuel to this fire that he just does not rock with Steve Kerr because we were talking about it this summer, Ella, is that you are Steve Kerr, head coach of the men's national team. It is your job to find situations, rotations, and opportunities to play one of the top 10 players we've all agreed on the planet. Yeah, you did that to me this summer
Your
too.
your
Let's
job,
get a call back.
your job
Yes,
as coach is to win a gold medal.
and
It
he
is
did.
not to figure out how to play everyone. It is not to figure out how to make everybody feel good and warm about their role.
No,
Your
correct.
goal is to win a gold medal, period, point blank, full stop. Did Steve
Correct.
Kerr do that?
Correct. He did. He did. You and your goal. I'm not taking. I don't have to discredit one thing to have another thing be be valid in that it is your job to win the gold medal, and he certainly did. He could have he could have won that gold medal with other players contributing to that gold medal. He played
Maybe.
favorites. He played all of the Western Conference guys. He played all of his starters
He
are
sees
Western
him the
Conference.
most, and it
Huh?
worked, and it
I'm
worked.
not listen, I'm not listen, Elle.
Your
I am
job
agreeing
as
with you.
the all-star coach is
I'm
to
agree
figure out a way to play everyone.
I
Your
am
job
agreeing
as
with
the
you.
Olympic coach is to win a gold medal.
And I 100% agree with you. 100%. But if you have 10 of the best players on the planet, it is your job to win a gold medal, but you better be able to do it with a different mixture of 10 of the best players on the planet.
And how do you know that?
Listen,
Because
all
of
I'm
all your
saying is there's fuel
experience
to this
coaching the
fire.
Olympic team? Like,
There's a
I this whole story. Now, in all fairness, whether we believe him or not, here is what Jason Tatum had to say about this idea that he hates Steve Kerr and he's motivated because of the snub from the Olympics. Here's what he said last night.
Impact your game.
It wasn't on my mind. Just another Wednesday, another game, another opportunity to come in and try to be the best player I can be, and another day to just try to get a win.
Again, in excited Jason Tatum fashion, just super pumped, super animated.
So much theatrical part.
He's playing it cool.
Yeah. Because I think on the surface, it just is very silly. It's just so silly to me. I just said that I love these types of storylines, but I also find them to be so silly.
Why?
Because athletes make up grievances so they can be pissed, so that they can like be fueled by something else. They do. They make it up. They make up. Like, you are an NBA champion, okay? And no, you didn't win the finals MVP because Jaylen Brown did. By the way, they really missed Jaylen Brown last night. That's why, despite
Yeah.
Jason Tatum having 32 points, they still lost that game to the Warriors. You're aggrieved because you didn't get as many minutes as you would have liked on the Olympic team. You're the highest paid player in the history of the NBA. History. With all of the legacy players that have played in it, you were the highest paid. You were just given the most lucrative contract that a player's ever been given. If that is not validation enough that you are all of the things that they built a team around you. When people were saying the Celtics should just blow this thing up because it's not working, like they're trying to build around Jaylen and Jason and it's not working. The Celtics did not believe that. They doubled down. They gave you more because that's how much they believe in you. The city loves you. Most of the talking heads and pundits know that you are one of the top 5 basketball players in the world. You like, stop. What are we talking about? Like, we can do this revisionist what Steve Kerr should have done if they didn't win. They won a gold medal. Move on. Oh my God,
You
you
can. I
guys.
get all that, Elle, but that doesn't mean you can't. That doesn't mean you can't, or that you have to F with everybody on the same level. He doesn't rock with Steve Kerr because of all of the things that you just said. And Steve Kerr saw that, recognized that, and was like, I don't need you. What? You would feel some type of way about that, Elle. Come on.
Did Steve Kerr's rotation and coaching plan work?
Yes, Elle.
There we go.
I'm not taking away any of that. What I'm trying to say is that Jason Tatum has grounds to stand on if Steve Kerr's not somebody that he wants to F with.
It's only us that do this where we're like, okay, we won, but we could have won differently if we would have just done it. It's like, what? We won. We won. We won a gold medal.
This is less about what happened in Paris this summer and more about me putting myself in Jason Tatum's head, one of the best athletes in the world. They get to these levels because they're programmed differently, and me trying to understand in his head, that's somebody I don't got to rock with because I know I'm him, and Steve Kerr, for whatever reason, wants to turn the cold shoulder on that fact.
You carrying a chip, Gary? Someone ever say something to you that you're just carrying around with you now, fueling you, using you for motivation?
So here's the thing about me, Elle, is I like to kill him with kindness. If I know someone doesn't rock with me, if I know somebody is maybe talking some of that talk behind my back, I go out of my way to engage. I go out of my way to be nice. I go out of my way to be like, I know, I've made mental note, and I'm going to make this painfully awkward by engaging in person, or if I find out somebody on this hasn't happened in a while because I don't keep tabs like that, but like years ago I'd find out like somebody unfollowed me on Instagram or on Twitter, and I would just heavy engage with all of their content.
So I'm going to stalk you on social media?
Let me just lean in and let them know what they're missing.
It's petty.
I don't think it's petty. I just think it's like, all right, that's cool. And then I go about my way. I don't like lose sleep over it. Hell, I just think it's kind of fun because I think generally I'm a generally likable guy. So I'm like, why if someone's gonna have beef with me, let me lean in.
Yeah, I'm the opposite because I mostly don't have beef with people, but if like you really have beef with me, then I'm just not you at all.
Correct. And it's not primary energy that you're giving to the people who were naysayers. It's leftover energy. And I think that's fine.
Yeah, there was a little bit of that at the Intuit Dome too when we talk about animus. Paul George returns to the Clippers as a member
Yes.
of the Sixers, and he
Yes.
gets booed. And he wasn't happy about it. In fact, here's what he had to say about getting booed when he returned to this Clippers crowd for the first time after leaving in free agency.
Yeah.
Playing your heart out for them, like, does that bother you at all?
I mean, it's stupid. I mean, I was a free agent. You know what I mean? I was a free agent. It wasn't something that I, demanded a trade or, went against the team here. Like, I was a free agent. The team presented something that was team friendly, and I did what was best for me in that situation. So there was the cheers. I appreciate them. Those were the ones that I played hard for. The boos, I didn't get it. I still don't get it when I go to Indy. But it is what it is. It's sports. That's what's in sports. So, yeah, look forward to next year being back here and, more boos.
He said, "What a stupid reaction." You know what this sounds like? Because I read all of the articles in the lead up to the game, and I
Yeah.
really think that Paul George, like, he was so complimentary of the Clippers. He's like, "They are a first-class organization. I loved, like, working with Tlu. I loved Kawhi Leonard. I love Ballmer. They're all so great. It was wonderful. Like, it was so great. What an amazing experience and time." And then he shows up, and the fans are like, "Boo!" And I think it, like, hurt his feelings. I think he was a little bit surprised that they booed him, but I'm not exactly sure that he remembers that he was on a podcast over the summer. And apart from booing because you felt like you guys underperformed, and he literally said playing for the Clippers felt like being on the B team because everyone was like, well, you should have been on the Lakers because they're the only team that really matters in LA. When you say that, I mean, the fans are
Correct.
probably not going to take too kindly to it.
Correct. And that's why Steve Ballmer spent the billions of dollars to disassociate himself and his team from Staples Center. They are now the new belle of the ball out there out west in terms of new facilities, trying to court new players. But here's the thing about Paul George. He's a Cali dude. He deserves all of this. He's the one who said, I want to go back home. I want to go to Cali. I want to play for the Clippers. That's what he was saying before he signed with them. He had an opportunity to go to the Lakers, but nah, let me go make my own legacy with Kawhi out there with the Clippers. And then he turned his back on them for simply, and I'm not here to count anybody's pockets, obviously, but he's made plenty of money. He basically turned his back on playing with the Clippers, with Kawhi at the new dome for just an extra year of contract with Philly. Steve Ballmer was like, we gave him 3 years in the max. Philly gave him 4 years in the max, and he decided to go to 4 years. Listen, you can't fault somebody for saying, no, I'm going to go take this extra $60 million.
Right. Like it's not like we're talking about a $10,000 to $15,000 difference here. We're talking about $60 million. And he
Understood.
talked about that. He's like, they wanted to give me a team friendly deal, which I understand that they would want to do. And I wanted to take a Paul George friendly deal. So he did.
And I'm just going to look up his, and again, go get your bread. Paul George's been in the league probably close to 2 decades now. I just want to see what his career earnings are. Because, like, come on.
It's
Is
60. It's like, this
I
drives
don't
me
know 60 million. I don't
us
even know how much
laymen
money
that are
that is.
like, oh, come on, you could have shown a little bit, but he didn't have to show any loyalty to the
He,
Clippers.
he doesn't have
Paul
to do none
George
of
is
that.
not that guy. Paul
That-
George left Indy, he left OKC, he left LA. Like, it's fine that he wants to be a bit of a mercenary. Obviously, I think he wants to win a championship too, but to just be so flippant with other people's money, it's like, it's wild to me. On the one hand, people will be like,
I
oh,
get it.
the economy and we're all struggling and no one can pay for groceries. And then on the same hand, they'll be like, you, Paul George, you could have foregone that 60 million. Are you insane? He is. He's at the back end of his career. And if someone's willing to give him another year at $60 million, you do not turn your nose up at that. Especially when honestly, the outlook for the Sixers was the same thing. Like, I even understand if you're the Clippers and he chooses to go to, I don't know, Houston. Like, that's like, oh,
Yeah.
wow, you really just wanted to go for money. You don't care at all. What you said about coming here to win a championship, you didn't mean that. But he did go to a team that, when healthy, has Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey on it and should be a contender in the East. Like,
Yeah.
they have the same like scenario and odds. And honestly, as much as we talk about Joel Embiid being injured all the time, hello Kawhi, he still hasn't played either. So I mean, like, again, I think he was a little taken aback at the response, but ultimately, like, Paul George is not like a Clippers great. Like, he didn't earn the
Correct.
respect to not get booed, and he also didn't earn the respect of getting booed the whole entire game, which he wasn't. So this is nothing.
307 million career earnings, and he signed a 4-year, $212 million deal with Philly. He could have signed a 3-year, $160 million deal with the Clippers.
You know what sounds better than
I'm not
160
sure.
million?
I'm not hating.
212 million sounds better.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. That's
That's
that's so much better.
crazy.
Plus, honestly, like extra bread in Cali, 60% of that's going to taxes.
Correct.
I
Taxes,
mean,
and then it's so
Pennsylvania ain't that
expensive to live
better.
there. Like Philly, he's living super large on that 212. How far do you think 212 would go in Memphis? Because to close out, the NBA is feeling very froggy. I love John Morant yesterday. The Grizzlies facing the Lakers without Anthony Davis, by the way, who leads the
Mhm.
league in scoring. So certainly that
Yes.
was a big miss for them, and it showed. Memphis ended up winning this game. But John Morant afterwards, like, not mincing words, I love it here.
What is it about this Laker team? It always
I don't like them. They knocked me out the playoffs. And then last year we had a game and they came in here and popped it on our home floor when I was in street clothes. So I wasn't a night.
I don't like them. I don't
We
like them.
don't. We
They ended
need
my
beef.
season, and I don't like them. Be real. We love that.
I think that the NBA, for what we just mentioned, probably off the top of the show, in this day of free agency and everybody's friends with everybody, Ja Morant and Anthony Edwards are the players right now who give me a sign that, maybe all is not lost. Maybe we can have an NBA where actual rivalries exist. Players can be cool, but they don't necessarily have to rock with each other. And Ja Morant is one of those. I love it. They have
100%.
now, these teams have playoff beef. The Ja Morant and the Grizzlies sent this team home. No, actually, it was the other way around. Lakers beat them when they were a lower seeded team a couple of years ago. Yeah, I don't think there's much to say about this one other than I like it because so many people are like, everybody's friends, everybody gets along. It's a puff league. The only thing we pay attention to is the playoffs. If you build actual rivalries in the NBA, people will pay attention.
Absolutely. And listen, when it comes to John Morant, so long as he's posturing at a press conference and not in his
Yes.
car, I'm good with it.
Correct. And maybe John Morant's not the kind of guy you want the beef with. You know what I'm saying? If history tells us anything, my guy is about that action boss.
All right, coming up, we've got a segment that we're calling You Got Cooked. We'll run through some quotes that people said and the reaction to them to see how cooked they ended up getting. Gary, I know I opened the show by saying that today was National Retinol Day, but in a shocking twist, it is also National Men Cook Dinner Day.
Whoa, that's every day
Yeah.
in the Streisky home.
We love that. Same here in this home as well. My husband is always cooking it up, which means that he would probably be
Omar does
very.
chef it up. I'm more like, yo, do you want Chipotle again?
Yeah, you cook by ordering the
Yeah.
DoorDash.
So what you
No.
want?
We cook around here. So we're gonna present you with quotes from people that said something, and then we'll rate how cooked they were, and we'll use
Okay.
like steak temperatures, right? Did
Yeah.
they get rare cooked, medium? By the way, how do you take your steak?
Medium rare plus.
Okay. I like a
Yeah.
medium. I like a medium. Sometimes because people can get cute with medium and then make it a little medium rare, which I'm still okay with. But then medium for salmon, which I prefer, can also get a little raw. It can be a little sushi grade. So medium, I think, is a
Okay.
good temperature.
I'm glad that you brought this up again because we had this conversation a couple months back. I didn't know that there were grades to fish. I just thought, yo, how do you want your fish? Either sushi or cooked. Like, what do you mean? You can
Well,
get your fish a certain way?
yeah, particular fish. I mean,
Okay.
most white fish, you just have to cook them. They're very flaky, but salmon is a meatier fish. And so you can cook that and it's thick, right? Like salmons are very, very thick. So
Yeah.
any kind of salmon steaks, like a swordfish, you could probably do a little bit of temperature control.
Mm.
Tuna, obviously. I can't believe that we've gotten off on this tangent.
Well,
But
I'm
yeah,
just
there
saying,
are.
hey, Elle, we eat at different restaurants. Chili's don't got it like that. All right. Chili's like, you
It
want
comes
fish
one way.
sticks? You want fish sticks? We could do fish sticks. I'm like, all right, I'll have them cooked.
I'll take that cooked, please.
Fry them in your best grease. Thank you.
All right. So, how fried was Mike Gundy when he was asked about the disappointing season? He, of course, is the head coach for Oklahoma State football, and they're 3-6 right now, and the fans are upset. They're not happy. And he responded with this quote. Kind of the synopsis of all of this is that this place has had tremendous success for 18 and a half years or 19. Wait. I'm sorry. Let me do it in my Mike Gundy. Kind of the synopsis of all this is that the place has had tremendous success for 18 and a half years or 19. I can't do the math real good. Unfortunately, in life, most people are weak. And as soon as things start to not go as good as what they thought, they fall apart and they panic. So essentially, he called the fan base weak because they're like, why are we not good? And
I like your accent.
and then he went later on social media and he posted, I think on Instagram, one of those like notes that you just like write. And it was like,
Mhm.
I'm so sorry if I offended anybody for calling them weak. Like, we're all good here. How cooked is this beef? Is this
Elle, listen, I might have misinterpreted the plot here, but in terms of Mike Gundy's cookedness level, I'm giving him a well done in that this is well done by Mike Gundy. All right, fans are so nearsighted that the Cowboys have been, I would say, tier two nationally relevant for the last 2 decades. When you've had Big Brother and Norman be nationally relevant for the same time, they've had to leave now the SEC. But Mike Gundy has had Oklahoma State playing Big 12 title games. He has had them play in New York's New Year's Six Bowls. And that's the level to which Oklahoma State football should be playing. So for these fans to be down on a year after the success Mike Gundy's had at Oklahoma State, relatively speaking, that's whack, man. And he is right. People are weak and that things start going bad and they're like, I'm sad. You should be fired. Shut up. If this landscape in college football with NIL is enough to push away greats like Nick freaking Saban, then these fans can sit through a bad season while we try to figure things out there in Stillwater.
So I was talking like honestly a couple of years ago with someone who said the best job in all of sports was Mike Gundy's job at Oklahoma State because there's no real expectation to be very good. All you have to do is win 10, 11 games, make a bowl game and you're fine. But
Boom.
if you look at the results, I mean, listen, they're 3-6 right now. Last year they were 10-4. They played in the Texas Bowl and their highest ranking was 15 and their final ranking was 20.
Boom.
The
Cool.
year before that, they were 7-6. They played in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl, and
Boom.
they were not ranked at the end of the year. In
Boom.
2021, they went 12-2. They played in the Fiesta Bowl, and their final ranking was number 9, so a top 10 final ranking.
Boom.
But then if you look at the years before that, it's like 8-3, final ranking 21, 8-5, final ranking 25, 7-6, 10-3, 10-3, 10. You know what this is? Mike Gundy is like what Mark Richt was at Georgia for many, many years, which is that the guy could always get you 10 wins and you're going to be competitive, you're going to get a good bowl game, but you're never going to be an actual contender.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at with Oklahoma State. Like I don't think anybody finds them to be perennially a contender every single year, but I also think the expectation for the fans needs to be a little bit lower. Like
Yeah, for sure.
you've signed on for 19 years of solid.
Elle, you didn't
They're
list.
solid. Like they're solid. Now they're obviously not playing as well. They are winless in the conference. Okay. They are 0-6 in the conference. They're 3-6
Big
overall.
12
Like
is
that's
good
a
this year.
problem in the Big 12, right? In the Big 12. But like you already told this guy that he basically has like a lifetime contract and that the results can be varied. And so long as he finishes solid,
Yeah.
then you're
Elle,
fine.
you went 10 years back. You didn't list a single losing season. 7-6 was the closest to I'm sure he's had some, but last decade, a couple 10-win seasons, that's crazy. I'm gonna take this one from Randy Scott. He, as well as Mark Richt, very much a brother-in-law coach in that they're good, but sometimes just not good enough. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to put it. I mean, it's solid. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
They're fine, they're fine.
Correct. So y'all
And so I
tripping
think
fans in Stillwater?
right. Like this is what you asked for. You've had 20 years, and by the way, in his 19 years there, he's had one losing season, and that was his first losing season. But, again, football in Oklahoma, especially when you're looking across the state, you're seeing what the Sooners are doing.
Yeah.
Just to be okay, to be winless in conference play, especially after you've afforded this guy a really long lifeline and said that like the results can be okay. I understand why they're a little perturbed.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't get too comfortable. Sometimes when you're with someone for a really long time, you see this sort of laying it up. They're not working out anymore. They're not even trying. Like you got to give them a little pep talk.
Okay.
I rate this beef at like a rare. It's not much. How about this one?
Okay.
Cowboys, Micah Parsons gets ripped for these comments on a podcast.
They always say it's not over till the fat lady sing, and I ain't hear her sing yet. I ain't hear her sing once yet. So you know what I'm saying? As long as I'm still alive, as long as I'm still part of this team, I'm gonna keep on fighting.
He thought he did something with that bar. Gen Z, man, they're like, yo, no one's ever heard this one before. Watch me cook with this. Speaking of cook, this one is Elle. I'm going rare in that things are getting bloody down there in Dallas. Okay. Micah Parsons has more minutes podcasted than more minutes played so far this season for the in a tailspin Dallas Cowboys, who are now 3-5, still not mathematically eliminated from the playoffs with a 6% chance. But Elle, he hasn't played since September. Okay, but
Could play this weekend.
He could play this weekend. High ankle sprain. This reminds me a lot of, and I made a note here to talk about my golf analogy. Last year, Elle, as you know, I picked up golf 2 years ago. And last year, I was playing golf literally every day. I was still working like 60 hours a week, but I played golf the way my schedule laid out every single day. And every single day, I would post on Instagram like a story, oh, out here in the lab, getting locked in again. And then it hit me. I was like, boom, wait. My bosses don't know that I worked today because of the hours that I work. I have to stop posting that I'm golfing every single day. Otherwise, people are going to be like, you got way too much time on your hand, my boy. Let's add some more to your already, they don't know this, but your already very busy schedule. So I dialed it back. I would still golf every day. I wouldn't post about it. And the analogy I'm trying to make here is that, Micah, I know you want to be podcasting, bro, but you have not played football since September. All right. Let's peel back. Let's peel back. Let's peel back on the podcasting just a little bit until you get back on that field, and start helping the Cowboys win some football games.
Yeah, it's like whenever someone asks me, like, what do you like to do for fun? I was like, I don't have fun. All I do is work.
I'm a parent, 2 kids under 5.
Right. Hobbies. That's adorable. Taking a shower is a hobby at this point. Here's my thing. I don't understand why he's getting killed for this. Like, what do you expect him to say? Like, we suck. I mean, Dak already did that. Like, what do you want for him? Like, what do you want him to say? Our season's over. Stop showing up to the games, friends. Like, you want your person to exhibit a little bit of hopefulness. It's not over yet,
Yeah.
like we don't know what could happen. It's tough. They're in a division that has the Commanders, who are one of the better teams in the league, and then Philly right behind them in the division. It looks like the goose is just about cooked for the Cowboys. Dak's going to be out for who knows how long. Although Cooper Rush is 5-1 as a starter, let's just
Come
say
on.
that starting quarterback. But this to me is a complete non-starter. Like this
But
is sushi gate grade cook. This is
here's the thing, Elle, you don't know you have a fly problem until you set out some sticky tape, right? So that's actually kind of a bar. So basically what I'm trying to say here is I don't necessarily know that people have issue with like what he said and how he said it. I just think that people have issue with how he said it in front of a mic instead of in front of his locker as an active player, right? What I guess I'm trying to say is if you go down the comments, because I follow Micah Parsons and I stay locked into that. If you go down the comments of all of his podcast stuff, it's, I miss when football players used to play football. Less podcasting, more pads. You know what I'm saying? So like, if you set out this trap, you might catch the wrong thing. And he's catching a lot of these strays like, yo, okay, bro, get out of the studio and get back on the field. And an ankle injury is an ankle injury, but he's not helping himself, having not played since September, and now we're into November, and he might play this weekend against the Eagles. If the Cowboys lose this weekend against the Eagles, they're finished finito, 3-6. It's a wrap. They need him.
I don't accept that excuse. I don't like that because people say the same thing about you and me. I miss when SportsCenter was just about highlights and not about jokes and quips and personality. I miss the old days when out of here. If you listen to everyone, then they would tell you that like everything was better before you and everything will be better after you leave. Like I'm not
Correct.
adopting that at all. And lastly, JaMarr Chase laughs and says that he never studied in school because they were asking him, "You got a short week. You're playing the Ravens on Thursday Night Football. Is this kind of like cramming for an exam at school?" And JaMarr said, quote, "I didn't study in school." To what
Well done,
degree did
JaMarr.
JaMarr cook that reporter for asking this question?
Yeah, I mean, this is well done in that. What do you expect, man? This dude was. Listen, JaMarr Chase can say this. T. Higgins can say this. 52nd person on the bench can say this. If you are D1, specifically at LSU in a championship year, come on, man. You didn't see the inside of a class. Get out, get out of
Yeah,
here.
I love the honesty here. He's like, "I didn't study." So, and it's fine. It takes all kinds.
Yeah,
All
I got
right, on
nothing
the
wrong with
other
that. Well done
side,
by JaMarr.
well done, JaMarr. I'll say that he cooked that reporter. I'll give him a medium.
Okay.
I'll give him a medium. On the other side, some teams are real mid, speaking of medium, but it appears that there is a savior here to help us all. We will extend a prayer to Pope Francis on behalf of our respective teams when we come back. There has been such an unintentionally funny cross section of religion and sports that's been happening because sweet Pope Francis is incredibly related. How old is Pope Francis, by the way? Let's look that up.
He up
Pope
there. He's seen some
Francis
stuff.
age. Okay, he's 87 years old. And in the most relatable way, he is confusion on social media. And he keeps sending out tweets where he is praying and talking about the saints, as in like the saints, you know,
Not the
saints.
New Orleans Football Saints.
Correct, but he keeps using the hashtag saints, which, when used with the hashtag, immediately pops up a fleur-de-lis and becomes the New Orleans Saints. And so, because the Saints are down bad already, there's been a lot of chuckles and yucks at the fact that even Pope Francis has to pray for this awful team and the situation that they found themselves in right now. I mean, Derek Carr and Michael Thomas have this weird beef going on. Marshawn Lattimore just got traded. Their head coach got fired. They are spiraling. They were supposed to contend for a somewhat gettable division, right?
Yeah.
They are not. It's all bad. And here comes Pope Francis
Come
in
on.
all of his kindness, trying to put the good word about the Saints unintentionally. And so people are having a fun time with this. And I have to ask you, if you had a sports prayer that you could request for the Pope, what would it be?
First off, I think it's hilarious that we don't have like geo stipulations on Twitter because somebody talking about the Saints at Vatican City is wholly different than somebody talking about the Saints, generally speaking, here stateside. Additionally, Sarah even mentioned it. It's hilarious to think that the Pope is actually tweeting
He's
himself.
not. He's
Just
not.
like the only like person of note who were like, that's for sure him is like Magic Johnson. But we have it on good authority by way of Christine that he doesn't tweet. He just speaks. And the person who tweets for him just literally takes it verbatim. Oh, my prayer is sort of one that's kind of a wide net. I would pray for the Pope to allow us to cuss and speak freely on SportsCenter because I think that really encapsulates the true spirit of our viewers is they want us to convey the news just as we would react and convey to it in the sanctity and peace of our own home. So that's it's more a
So you
prayer
want
to
to
the
use, you want the
FCC.
Saint to allow you to use your dirty little mouth all over television? That's what?
That's correct. That is correct.
Okay.
But we can preface some of those words with like holy S word. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh, I think that's going to be a non-starter for the Pope.
Jesus. That one probably too. Yeah, that one probably
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
I say I've had to get good about, especially with my kids around, having to have like off ramps when I'm about to get mad, and I'll say cheese and rice, which is a good one instead of, the alternative. So I've had to get good about that as well. I've
Oh
got a
my
prayer.
God.
Cheese and rice is a
Yo,
good one.
that's hilarious,
Cheese
Elle,
and
because
rice.
yo, That's kind of funny, and it like gave me a flashback. Like I knew you before you had kids, and that would not even ever crept into your head.
Ever. Ever.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Or I'll be like, Jesus, Mary and Joseph were all integral figures, kids in the Bible. Yeah. Yeah.
Dude,
It's I've had
the
to get really good with it.
evolution.
Yeah, the evolution of Elle. I mean, trust me, when they're not around, I just lay the chopper, but
You let it fly. Yeah, you
I
let it
let
fly.
it fly. I let my freak flag fly. Trust me. Christina, our producer, she'll just be like, when we're like all in person, I'll be watching her. She's like enjoying the show. And every time I cuss, she's like writing it down. Gotta bleep that. Gotta bleep
Yeah.
that. Sometimes
Yeah.
she's
You
sometimes she's
make her
harder on
work
words than other
overtime
times. I do.
for
I
sure.
do. I have a prayer and I'll keep it cuss free. And you know what? I'm gonna bow my head while I say it so that it can be
Oh,
for real. Because I really want it to come true.
all right.
Okay, you ready?
No,
Your
no.
master, your majesty, whatever. Please let Carson Beck channel one of the best gamers in UGA football history, Stetson Bennett. And listen, your royal popeness, I know previously I besmirched Stetson. Maybe I called him trash, but I regret it now. And I would do 1,000 Hail Mary full of graces just to get him back. And since we
Mm.
cannot, Pope, can you please just evoke a spirit? Evoke any kind of spirit, a warrior from back in the day, or just a really good player that's passed on into Carson Beck so that we can finally get back to the national championship and win. Amen. Or bless you.
Amen.
Here we go.
I
Can you
mean,
tell I'm
I
not
felt
Catholic?
that. I
Can
felt
you
the
tell?
spirit shift.
Can you tell I'm not Catholic at all?
Well, listen, um, you might not be Catholic because you have to, you can't spell that without cat. And we know you're about those dogs. So are you
There you
dog,
go.
dog licks?
Oh my God.